over at Cricket Australia, we know that there's been a discussion around whether or not on Australia Day, which of course falls within the Brisbane Test, they will acknowledge the existence of Australia Day. There was going to be this announcement about, this day means different things to different people, but they weren't going to mention Australia Day. So the CEO of Cricket Australia, Nick Hockley, was on 2GB with Ben Fordham this morning, and he was asked very directly, will Australia Day be mentioned?
Will the words Australia Day come over the loudspeaker on Friday? Come on, straight answer.
Yeah, no, they won't. We've taken a consistent approach over the past...
Yeah, well, hang on. Is that a no? I didn't hear it. Is it no?
As I've said, Ben, we are...
No. I want a yes or a no, Nick. Is Australia Day going to be mentioned over the loudspeaker on Friday? Yes or no?
I don't believe so, no.
I mean, the dancing there was better than me on a Friday night after 3:30, maybe gin and tonics, to be perfectly
That's not
honest.
hard. That's not hard.
But it was only a few hours later that, lo and behold, there was a back down. Nick Hockley went to the Australian and said, no, sorry, we are now going to acknowledge Australia Day. It's amazing what can happen when you have a few hard questions put to you. But the only problem was that this morning, between this interview that Nick Hockley did and him saying, hey, no, we're actually going to mention Australia Day, Pat Cummins, the Australian captain, stood up for a press conference and he was asked his thoughts on Australia Day. No prizes for guessing what he thinks of Australia Day.
Australia Day is meant to be a celebration of everything Australia and our history. I think we could choose a better date.
Fantastic. So the Australian cricket captain wants to change the date of Australia Day. The CEO of Cricket Australia can't work out whether they're acknowledging the existence of Australia Day or not. Why can't these people just get on with playing bloody sport? I mean, I was at Adelaide Oval last week. Shamar Joseph goes in from the West Indies. He's on debut at number 11. He's the bottom of the batting order and the bloke goes out and knocks us for 36. That's what we should be worried about, not Australia Day.
I blame the West Indies for this problem because if the West Indies had played well, we would have had a 5-day test. And here's the point, Caleb. Pat Cummins wouldn't have had time to sit around the dressing room thinking about what he can do to improve the world. But he had, 2 days to sit there thinking about, wow, we should get rid of Australia Day. What else should we do? He's even got opinions on climate change. In fact, he made these comments about Australia Day at a press conference that was addressing what Cricket Australia is doing about the climate. Have a listen.
Behind the lights, we've got a pretty big footprint as international cricketers. But I also think, as a sport, we're quite vulnerable to the environment as well. Extra heat and suddenly you have extra drinks breaks and you can't function as well as you want to. A bit of rain, you can't play at all. Storms, smoke, all those things have affected games over the last couple of years. So I think we've got a responsibility to try and do our bit to, where we can, minimise our footprint.
So Cricket Australia have put solar panels on the roofs of some of their buildings. The problem, Liz, is the games aren't going long enough. Test cricket needs to not go for 5 days, make it go for 15 days so Pat Cummins has got less time to think about the problems of the world. Just focus on cricket.
This is so indicative of what the left is doing, not just here in the country, but across the world. Check out this Invasion Day March poster, because that's what it is, and these guys are going to be protesting, totally conflating issues. You got a bit of climate action on there, you got a bit of anti-Israel propaganda on there. It's all happening, it's all thrown in together. What the heck does that have to do with Invasion Day, rather Australia Day? It's literally just anti-everything, and I would say anti-truth. Anyone stupid enough to march under that flag and be like, this is what I stand for, this is what I believe in, you've got to be a few sandwiches short of a picnic.
Well, you'll notice it says on there, abolish Australia Day, and that's what it's ultimately all about. Like, you find any one of these people who says they've got an issue with the date of Australia Day and ask them what date they would prefer it to be. And most of them, when you scratch beneath the surface, it's not about the date. They couldn't give a toss what the date was. It's about Australia itself. Nothing will ever be good enough for these people. So you give them the date. You go, OK, sure, we'll change the date. It'll shut everyone up. Within 2 years, that will be back. The discussion will be back. Well, we can't have Australia Day at all. How dare you celebrate our history?
Well, I was talking to Warren Mundine the other night, and of course he suggested some alternates to January 26, and very quickly found out it didn't matter what date he suggested, someone had a problem with it.
Of course.
Because as you said, it's not about the calendar, it's about the country. And these are people who despise themselves, as illustrated by that advertisement. They're marching against everything to do with Western civilization,
Exactly.
of which they are not only a part, but of which they enjoy all the benefits.
Maybe
It's
they can
madness.
start marching against Pat Cummins for his insane takes on Australia Day and climate change. I've got to point out, by the way, in that clip we played of Pat Cummins, he said, cricket has really been affected in recent years by the rain because it's never rained.
The rain is new.
Before.
The rain is new.
And we might have to take a few more drinks breaks because it
gets hot.
It's just so hot.
Because they've never played cricket in summer
Not in the
before.
heat,
It's
no.
a crazy idea. But I had to laugh today. I saw on the Australia Day stuff. Air Canada, which you might have gathered is an airline out of Canada, is advertising that they're having an Australia Day sale. So it's okay for companies overseas to get on board with Australia Day, but Woolies, proud Australian companies like Woolies, no, we won't have it. We just don't know how bad we've got it in this country.
Although, in fairness, they were using that as a marketing ploy to make money.
Of course
I don't
they
think
were.
there was any kind of we're for Australia Day. No, actually, political values in that. But hey, if it's going to make you money, go for your life, Canada.